Well, I think if we have gotten to that point of we need to properly begin to define things the way they are. I think Madina Mechanic is getting a lot more fresh breath now because there's nobody that's going to say, sit down, let me, take it up from here. He's bent on getting straight to the point. Before now, we started hearing names of Aisha Buhari is going to be involved. Wike and the rest of them are going to be involved. And of course, Buhari's name should be, but he said the wife, Aisha, should represent the husband anyway, But from the revelation we are seeing now, from what Jason Motosho did, giving the, the voices that are of advocacy coming from the elite political class from the southern part of the country. I make reference to Ned Nwoko, who is a service senator presently, where he came out publicly on air and disclosed to the whole world, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot be tried because one, there's a court order, that has not been vacated. So, and this is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has actually maintained for a very long time, when he was saying that, right here in this court, I will defeat them. So the matter has gone beyond what people think, even though it's clearly that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being held not according by law but according to interest. Now that interest now has become a national embarrassment, had put Nigeria to a point of mockery, especially coming from the judicial institutions, where everybody believes the law, they are the holders of the law, the hope of the common man. Even if you get there, definitely by omission or commission, you'll be able to get justice. But it shows very clearly that, among all the judges in Nigeria, the Nigerian Judicial Council, the NBA, and so many of them, could not be able to provide a particular judge immediately Binta Nyako left. And Binta Nyako told the whole world as at that time that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a higher reality, and it will be very difficult for him to squeeze into a corner. But when people thought that was not true, we saw James Omotosho, imagine from nowhere. But this James Omotosho has a very controversial judgment that has painted him in another angle when he passed a certain judgment in Rivers State against the governor elect then, talking about Simi Fubara. So from there, we begin to start to know who this James Omotosho really is, and we begin to see that his judgment, pronunciation, towards Mazi Nnamdi Kanu might likely, not being according to law, might be according to, a certain agreed, plan, to make it look as if it is the law that judged him. But you can see all of a sudden Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was able to twist that dangerous ambush by the federal government, and by saying that it's going to involve some kind of witnesses. I'm not giving the whole world how we got to a point where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has finally split the Nigerian judiciary, split the federal system, and split anything that has to do with the foundation that lead to legal interpretations in Nigeria concerning the issue that has to do with terrorism and treasonable charges. We can go along, but what they don't know is that this Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case has attracted, world court art. I repeat, it has attracted world court art to the extent. I think that's where the federal government needs to be very careful now, because the judge, the Supreme Court judge of one of the nations in Africa, I don't want to mention the name, but his name ended with Edo, made it very clearly that there's a extent the Nigerian government will push Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to defend himself, which is a suicide mission. It might get to a point that the World Court will act will be invoked on Nigeria, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will definitely walk away with a referendum right there inside the court. With a referendum, that's what the man is saying. Right there inside the court. We have seen people who have gone to court before to defend themselves. It's nothing new. But in this kind of situation, well, a little bit dangerous for Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, but I think to an extent he has been able to tell the whole world how innocent he is.
Well, you said, right here in the court that the world court can declare or give Nnamdi Kanu the referendum of Biafra that he wants. But this is Nigeria that has not obeyed the 2022 UN Working Committee order to release Nnamdi Kanu. So do you think that this government will want to obey the World Court Act, just like you said?
Let me just tell you, too many fish in the pond can stir up the mud. That's what James Hadley Chase actually said. By the time you begin to gather all the atrocities Nigerian government has carried out against human rights, let me just put it that way, it has become so enormous, and it has become something that has become, the whole world has come to notice it. So at any point the world want to strike Nigeria, and they are going to strike Nigeria from different angles, just like what we are experiencing in the Middle East currently now. Everything that is happening in Nigeria is being documented, which will be used against Nigeria at any particular time. Can the lawyers or the son or the legal luminaries of this country deny the knowledge that they don't know there's a World Court Act that can be invoked on a situation like where Mazin Nnamdi Kanu find himself? That's a clear fact. They will not come and tell you. But you can see the delegates from World Court, who visited Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, has already made it publicly that Nigeria should be careful unless they walk away with referendum right there in the court, because by the time and if they fail to do it, that means Nigeria is attracting consequences of international community, World Court, ICC, and a lot of that, and that will be too dangerous for Nigeria. Thank God, to an extent now, the matter has taken place, and it has been adjourned. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu has come out very clearly and stated his position that he has gone through the case file, that he didn't see anything incriminating, that he has no case to answer, and this is the position of that man. One, under William Ruto currently now, we saw the decision of the Kenyan court. Not only that, we saw several courts in judgment, saying that this man is innocent, he didn't commit any crime. Not only that, their own Fulani courts too, pronounce judgments that up to the appeal court. And I can give you an insight of what the Supreme Court said on each of the charges that was against Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. You can go and verify. Mazin, one was the Supreme Court ruled that Mazin Nnamdi Kanu did not jump in. So there's no justification for that. That is one. Two, that the matter that has gotten to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made a written, judgment on the matter, which they are supposed to abide first before any trial. Instead, what did they do? They connived with Buhari, Malami, Femi Adesina. They were the people that held the ground meeting and went and bribed Kenyan police officers to commit criminality and go against the Commonwealth Treaty, which has become a major international embarrassment and threat to Nigerian system and government and judiciary at this moment. And based on that, that is where the lion himself, the Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, the supreme leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, the unstoppable, the unquenchable, the man who has come to define a certain era and moment, the man who has championed Africanism, the man who has brought another dimension of freedom fighting, a man who has opened destinies to many Africans and have become a reference point in Africa today. I can tell you, so many personalities are talking about Mazin Nnamdi Kanu today, not because of anything, but at least a black man needs to have a rethink. A black man needs to understand that, he too has a destiny on this part of the world. Thank you.
But we've seen Nedoko come out just recently. He said in an interview that the president met with the president, and the president admitted that there are security issues in the country and even in the southeast. But Nnamdi Kanu have said severally that, just give me 2 minutes and there will be peace in the southeast. But why is it that the president and the government don't want to throw towards this part of releasing Nnamdi Kanu so that at least we know that there can be peace again in the south. Why is it that they have other ulterior
Bro,
motive?
let me address Mr. Ned Nwoko Umahi and what do they call the man from Abia State, Ojiso Kalu Soludo, and the rest of them. I wish you would be able to share this video very well, and I'll be able to tell the likes of Ned Nwoko and the rest of them, including Umahi, they are not doing anybody any good at this point in time. Whether they are trying to repent, including Uhopo Zadima, that is a business at this point in time. The opportunity for nationalism, the opportunity for unity, the opportunity which was given to Nigeria, to seek, internal cohesion of a system has elapsed. That is one. Two, and then the workers should not be in a hurry, because we know that the issue of tax creation is highly manipulated to favor the politicians. I can make reference to Gani Adams' statement some time ago, where he outlined the art of regionalism, the system which we are talking about. What is regionalism they are talking about? Gani Adams made it very clearly, which kind of regionalism? Is it regionalism with states or outright regionalism? They went about creating states. Now you said you are adding another one more state to Southeast to make it 6. Now the same National Assembly is creating more states in the other region. How does that actually balance now? Network, let me tell you, I thank you for that consciousness, because I know the area where you maintain a certain point and truth. That's the reason, because you say that Nnamdi Kanu in detention is not justifiable. We also, the Woloshenka has come to say it's unfortunate that we have Buhari as president that went and committed and invaded sovereignty just because you want to kidnap somebody, and you did a criminal act and still brought him to your court, and you are committing many more crimes on that. So you can see that there's no balance of national cause when it comes to marginalization of Igbo. When it comes to marginalization, there's no doubt, So what we are seeking is outright disintegration, balkanization of this entity called Nigeria, where every region will be able to define and understand his destiny. And that is what it means. IPOB is one of the most peaceful organizations in the world. Guinness Book of Records, Nigeria brought insecurity to the southeast just because of Nnamdi Kanu. Let me give you an instance for those who does not understand. What happened in Nnamdi Kanu's house, where 28 young youths took live bullets with their chests without any provocation. That was the beginning. So brutally, Buhari or Aisha, whoever they are, should be taken to ICC. As simple as that. Not Nnamdi Kanu. It's not Nnamdi Kanu that is killing people in Benue. It's not Nnamdi Kanu that is alive in Nigeria in all ramification. There's this quest of Christian genocide everywhere now. Can they come out and say it clearly that it was Nnamdi Kanu that is responsible? But I can tell you, I can give you instances of nations or countries that have come to that point where we are seeing Nnamdi Kanu today. And that is a signal that the fourth Jewish black nation in Africa is about to emerge, and nobody can take it away from there. And we saw it in Awolowo. We saw it in Awolowo. We saw it in Washington. We saw it in Muhammad Gandhi. We saw it in so many personalities all over the world. At the time, at this point now, you can say that Yorubas are enjoying the legacy of Awolowo and the rest of them. So that's the point he is actually making there. Nigeria need to go their separate ways. That's the simple truth.
Okay, lastly, do you think it's too late to negotiate with Nnamdi Kanu, or do you think that the Nigerian government will be so proud to negotiate so that this matter can end once and for all?
The part of negotiation is to return Nigeria to Aburi. You see, outside that it cannot work. Return Nigeria to Aburi. Gowon should come and confess. Yeah, as simple as that. Return Nigeria to Aburi. It's a very simple thing. Even as a one entity.
Well, it's no longer the leader or the current or one. I don't know, but he doesn't have the capacity again.
But let him come out, and make it a press statement. And because his own people are being killed in the Middle Belt too. I think that you understand. So I was born a free man. Why would I become a slave in Nigeria? Just because I want to answer one Nigeria. There's no justification for that. Well, I was born an Igbo man, a free man. Then I came, when I became a Nigerian, so to say, then I became a slave. That's not possible. No Hausa man will take that. No Yoruba man would take that. And that's the question of reality that everybody need to answer. If Nigeria fail to renegotiate and negotiate, return Nigeria to regionalism, return Nigeria to Aburi, the question of conquest will ever and will continue to have more and more and more and more of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. My final message to United Nations, to AU and the EU and ECOWAS is very straight. There's a purpose of which these organizations were established. And the fundamental purpose, the aim and objective of those organizations is as a result of conflict resolution. They have not been able to live up to that expectation. And therefore, I invoke the spirit of the executive order of the United States of America under Donald Trump to issue an executive order on Nigeria disintegration, and that will end it.
On the floor of the Senate, and you have argued with your colleagues the need for an Aniama state. And don't even begin the conversation around marginalization, because that's the first thing, because people will say we have Southwest 6 states, South 6 states, Northeast 6 states, North Central 6 states, Northwest 7 states, but Southeast 5 states. Is that part of the agenda to fix the Southeast that seems to be smaller in terms of the number of states, or what?
Well, almost just over a year ago, I had a meeting with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where I discussed about the problems of Southeast, the insecurity in Southeast. What do we do to address it? And he knows the problems, and he also has an idea. The whole idea is that there should be some level of equity extended to the Igbos of Southeast by having an additional state. It wasn't going to be an easy task, to create one, but it is doable. And I'm happy that we have come this far. The point is this: even at that time, it was understood that the problems of Southeast, the agitations of the youths of Southeast, the killings there, the referring to the ESN groups and ESN and IPOB and the rest of them. These are young people who have come up to say that they are fighting for freedom because they are marginalized. And one of the areas that they've all spoken about and against is the fact that they are the only zone. Southeast is the only zone in Nigeria that has 5 states. Why is that? Why was it done intentionally to undermine them? Of course, yes. And from engaging those youths, it became so obvious that if a step is taken in creating one state, just one state, to bring it apart with 5 other zones, let's leave Northwest out of this now, at least bring it apart to the 4 other zones, then something would have been done for them. Yes, they are clamoring for different things, but I mean, not least, of course, the release of Nnamdi Kanu. They're asking for it. We know that is something that has to be done. You would just say
Nnamdi Kanu to be
oh yes, yeah, of course.
Why do you think so?
Nnamdi Kanu has been in custody for some time now. I believe that he has been held unjustly. Many people feel that way.
As a lawyer, do you think so?
Oh yes.
That the judicial process is unjust?
Yes. Yeah, no, it has been. There's a lot of delays in prosecuting him and all that. If you want to get him tried and convicted, get on with it. But this is a guy who has been held unjustly aside, for so many months.
And the Buhari government started it.
I'm not talking about this government.
Trial. No, so the point I'm even making now.
I'm talking about the previous government under Buhari.
It's facing a judicial process right now.
Yes.
Saying is just because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. Prosecution should be established on that for the case to be withdrawn. But there are those who say, well, there are allegations and it's left for the law for him to have his day in court, which is in process.
But as you know, there have been some pronouncements by the Federal High Court, which has not been respected. So his incarceration is the main reason for the crisis in Southeast.
But the crisis started before he was even arrested.
No.
The killings, the burning of police station, the killing of police officers and all whatnot.
Well, look, the problem in Southeast is very different from what is in the Northeast or Northwest and all those areas. The problem in the Southeast has to do with the perceived injustice by governments, successive governments. So what needs to be done? And it's why I'm here today, talking about the creation of states to make up the number up to 5. And then you have the release of Nnamdi Kanu. By the time you do these two things, I am almost certain that peace will return to Southeast.
Let me ask you this question.
I have spoken to so many youths in from Southeast, and they have assured me that that they are prepared to be engaged by us, by the leadership. When this is done, they don't want to die. The youths don't want to die. They want to go back to schools. They want to go back to their jobs. All they want is some level of respect and acknowledgement by the nation, by the government of Nigeria.
I want to ask you, and
before the protest, I was one of those who said, look, let those who, Southeasterners keep away. And the reason why I said that was that when Showore started calling names of P2B, trying to rub him in the mud, and I said to somebody, jokingly, I said, if P2B shows there, they will either kill him or arrest him. And the next thing is that they will charge him for treason. So for me, the protest did not achieve what it was meant to achieve. But one thing I like the protest for is that we have moved it from the Southeast to the seat of power. And that's what I've always told the people in the Southeast. Those who declare sit at home and say, you cannot declare sit at home in the Southeast and you expect it to affect the federal government. Declare it come to the Abuja and declare. Or you say that all Igbos who are trading in Nigeria, everybody, don't open your shops. Then it will affect the government. So what they were doing in the Southeast was actually killing the Southeast rather than protecting and elevating the South.
But do you think that particular call on Monday will ever hold water, given the fact that the ED of the Lagos Trade Fair, says something yesterday that Igbos, who happens to be the majority persons trading in that trade fair, should try their best not to be part of the protest? Talking about the fragility of the trade fair and its complex at this point.
Well, if you look at it from that point, everybody's protecting themselves. But I am telling you, that's why we have a problem in Ebola. First problem we have is that, what is it? The Igbos have no leader. And unfortunately, the people you see today parading themselves as leaders are not leaders. These are psychopaths. And that is where the problem of the Igbo starts. The Igbos have no person who is speaking for them. The things that are happening in Igbo cannot happen in the north. You see where the bandits sit down with government officials negotiating. Can it happen? Can you see IPOB sitting down in the southeast negotiating? It will not happen. Because you have a country that is running two laws. One law is for the south, one law is for the north. And we must be very honest with ourselves when we say these things. The unity that these people keep talking about is not applicable in the southeast. It's not applicable. Even though some of us will try not to bring tribe and all sentiment into it, but it's getting to the point where we must begin to tell ourselves that for us to have a Nigeria that works, we must have the same law applying across.
Similar applying. Prince, I want to ask you, and after that, I would like Elvis to have his take on this question now. Do you think that any level of pressure through protest mounted on the federal government will lead to the release of Nnamdi?
The only solution to the release of Nnamdi Kanu is political.
Is protest part of it?
No. It is political. Nnamdi Kanu is a political prisoner.
Okay.
There are other people who have said worse things than Nnamdi Kanu. Where you come from in Nigeria today, determines the kind of justice you get.
Prince, I want you to answer my question directly. Do you think that any level of protest mounted? And I asked you, political solution, is protest part of the political solution?
No.
Okay, so
I do not believe in this protest.
that was the first question I asked.
I do not. You know why I do not believe in this protest?
Okay.
I do not believe in it because you cannot tell a child more about the father than the child. The man behind the people behind the protest, they're not even being sincere. Okay. Honestly speaking, they are not being sincere.
All right. All right.
If let me finish. The only way I will see the sincerity in this protest is if Showore gets arrested and tried with the others.